She's a long way from her home in the Philippines, but Susan Tolentino was forced to flee when her husband was killed and a bounty was put on her head. Her identity is being hidden for her protection.
It's a very horrific experience. It's not easy to leave your country and your friends, your family, especially my kids.
4 years later, she remains safe but desperately unhappy. Last year, her status as a refugee was recognised, but the law in Hong Kong won't allow her to work or volunteer, and her food allowance is the equivalent of $1 per meal.
We experience being homelessness. We don't know where to go, and we experience to sleep at the park. You can feel that sometimes the whole world is against you.
There are now more than 10,000 refugees in Hong Kong. That's an increase of more than 70% over the last 2 years. In a city where accommodation is expensive, many are forced to live in slums and tiny flats.
A majority of them are living on really a very, very small amount every single month. So what they can afford are, for example, there are rooms right behind a staircase. Some of them are living in that. Some of them are living in coffin homes, as we call them.
Christian Action is one of the groups helping to house and feed the growing number of refugees fleeing persecution and seeking protection in Hong Kong.
Basic needs are taken away from a lot of these people, and that's really where the refugee community has to depend on community organisations like ours.
The government wasn't available for comment. Unlike most other nations, Hong Kong is not a signatory to the UN's Convention on the Status of Refugees. China is, but it hasn't been extended here. And while it has signed the UN Convention against Torture, which prohibits deporting refugees to countries where they face persecution, the approval rate is less than 1%, with just 11 out of 13,000 cases accepted here since 1993. That compares to a global average of around 27%. Even if they are successful and recognised as a refugee, the government in Hong Kong doesn't offer most of them the rights they would have under the Refugee Convention, including the right to work.
Best they can get is temporary permission to work, but that's only after years of misery and delay, and there's no proper status.
For the increasing number of refugees now living in the city, some who fled persecution, the situation offers little hope to those wanting a new start. Clarke, Jazeera, Hong Kong.